Well, hey guys, today we are going to cut and buff this panel. I'll show you guys how, and maybe it'll help you guys out. Stay tuned. It has a bunch of orange peel in it, and it is orange, haha. But we're going to take some nibs off. There's a couple runs in here we're going to remove, and I'll show you guys how to do that. Let me show you what I have. Alright, so this is everything I have for cutting and buffing here. I am going to start out with nibbing. This is the little blade to cut any runs, or it actually will remove any like FOD in there, and it's just a true flat surface. And then I have a little file here, which works out great, very fine file. It will remove runs and nibs and everything else. And then also these little pads. There's 3000, I think 2000 and 1500. I also have some masking tape, tape the edges. I've got an orbital sander, a 6-inch, and then I've got a 2 or 2.5 inch, 3-inch smaller orbital sander. I've got my sandpaper all the way from 2000, 1500, and 3000, and then I've got some smaller grits here. I'm just starting with 1500 on that. I've got my compounds. I'm gonna start with this, then go to that, then go to that, and then we're gonna use our spray detailer in the middle while we're between each change. I've got this foam pad to go in between the 6-inch orbital. I have another foam pad for this also. I got some cutting pads for the small orbital, and then I've got some larger pads here and a wool pad. So that kind of shows you everything I'm using here. I don't have the spray bottle here for the spray detailer, but we're going to throw that together here shortly. You got to have a little light. So if you turn this thing on, it's kind of like a soft white, and then it goes to a more blue or brighter white, and then another tone. This kind of helps you determine your swirl marks and laying down some of your compounds, and it also works well putting ceramic coating on. So that's a great light from Adams. So, but let me show you some of the orange peel here. You can kind of see how the light is just rough and bumpy. It's not a smooth reflection. This is my worst panel. So everything else looks really good, but this panel, the gun kind of got dry and was spitting as I was spraying. So this is what's going to help remove some of that orange peel. We're going to sand it out. Also, I've got a couple runs here and here, and I'll show you how that nibbing tool can remove those runs before you start sanding. Here's one that I've already started removing here. You can kind of see this nibbing tool works out really well. So you want to keep the string on there. It's going to actually help keep it on a proper angle, and this contour here kind of helps out with certain edges and whatnot. Just going to keep it flat on the panel, the string touching the panel. And the best way is you can kind of just start by, and you're just going to lightly run it across these runs. So you can kind of see it's removing. And I do this with a razor blade too, but I found this tool actually helps out a lot better because you don't tend to dig into the panel, but a razor blade is a lot cheaper than this tool. And the razor blade does work. It's just on these contours, it's really hard to make a razor blade work. Kind of see how I'm just running this, and it's just, I'm just lightly and I'll have a link for this tool in the description if you want. I think it's on Amazon. That's where I got it from. Takes a little bit of time. Be patient. Cutting and buffing and removing runs is all about patience. If you don't have patience, don't do it. It's not going to turn out right. Just take your time. Plan on, 2-3 hours per panel. Don't think you're just going to get this done in an hour, the whole car. If you want it to look nice, it's going to take a lot of time, and it could take longer depending on how bad your panel is. So you can kind of start feeling it. I still feel something there and here. You're not seeing it as much, but you're still feeling it. And with it being on a corner here, you want to be careful. You don't want to get through that clear coat. And really, I wouldn't have to remove this because the trim's going over this whole spot, but go over it with this file here. And the teeth are up and down on this. And just and then here's this one. I already did it to that point. I should have showed you that on the oranges. It's probably easier to see, but. And then I'm gonna take my 1500 grit sandpaper on this nice little block here, and we're just gonna sand it. And this block kind of allows a true edge. See, and then like I'll do it right here, you'll see. And this will actually make the orange peel stand out even more, and then you'll actually be able to see the run more. You can see the scratches where the file left. But we can kind of see all the orange peel and whatnot in here. And you can see a part of that run you couldn't see there, you know, just a little run off there. So that's kind of the start. At this point, once I get it to this point, I'm going to take the sanding pads, or I take a block and we block sand it. I do like using the block method. What I am going to do is tape these edges here, because I don't want to get into these areas and cut where you kind of can see the body lines high here. Then the other thing I'm going to do is, because this edge here, I don't want to cut through it, I'm just going to tape very closely around it. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just going to tape around it so I don't hit these spots. Better to be safe than sorry. So I like to start in sections, so I'm going to start with this section, then kind of move as we go. You can kind of see that orange peel coming out a little bit. You're still seeing some little bumps in there. It's good to have a microfiber rag. All right, guys, I got a little sanding block. It was a larger block I cut down. This is a good size for me. Each one of you are different. But I'm going to block sand this little radius in here. All I'm going to use is some of the 1500 grit sandpaper. I'm going to wrap it around this, and I could probably cut this down a little bit, but I'm just going to use this full piece. And I don't block sand a whole car usually. With this, I'll try to use the orbital sander. Due to me tearing all the tendons in my arm, I can't block sand for that long. So they'd take hours, but the proper way to do it is to block sand. But it's something I don't have the ability to do. You guys can leave comments and say whatever, but it's just I don't have the ability to do that much hand sanding. So I have gotten really good at using orbitals to do the majority of my sanding. Or body files. I've modified a body file to actually do a lot of fine sanding, but you just got to be careful, because you can go right through the paint in no time. And a lot of the time I'm going to use this smaller edge too, and I've got a rounded one also, but this one's kind of I like using the war ones that are wore on the edges a little bit to kind of get this, because this block isn't perfectly square on the edges. I'm just going to take this detailing spray and just keep removing some as we go, and you can kind of, I like doing this part dry, even though it makes a little bit more of a mess and tends to clog up your paper a little quicker, just so I can see the orange peel a little better, because when it's wet then I got to dry it down. So if I can get this initial sand done dry, then it actually will save me in the long run. Yeah, it's starting to look really good. I'm going to go back to my orbital sander a little bit and we'll sand some more of this out. So you can kind of see how smooth it is. Besides, there's just a couple like low, but I don't want to really take it much lower than that. If I was going for 100% show car finish, which I'm not going for, because this is gonna, you won't even see any of these imperfections here. Versus this side, you can kind of see all the low spots. See how orange pilly it is. Then I come over here and it's flat, nice and smooth. I've got a little bit more to do here, but this side is really good. Up here you're seeing the shininess next to the tape, because I haven't addressed that yet. But right here, that looks amazing. Nice and smooth. It's gonna look great. So let's continue along. Now I'm going to do 2000 grit. All right, so that is 3000 grit. Still has, now it has a sheen on it. Before it didn't. And look how nice and smooth that is. It's like satin. So that's kind of what you want to achieve. And I've had to sand it a whole bunch. I've been working on this for about 2 hours at this point, this whole bedside. I still got at least another hour to get it completely finished. Now what we're going to do is take some buffing compound, and I'm going to use 3D ACA 510. This is supposed to be a better product than 3M. I've never used this product. I will tell you here shortly, because I have been a 3M person the whole time. So I'm trying something new today, and I've heard some good things about this. So let's try it out and see what happens. I'm going to use a nice clean wool pad, and we're going to probably go over this probably twice with a wool pad, and then come back and use this on a foam pad, and then we'll continue along. With a wool pad, all right, look how good that looks. I mean, you can see reflections without any like blurriness. I mean, that looks amazing. This is just one stage, so well, two stages pretty much. One with the wool pad, and then the other one with the foam pad to get rid of some of the swirls. And even the white looks fantastic. I mean, everything looks great. So I'm going to next do the step 2, and it's this 3D one, and then with a foam pad, a little different buffer, and we'll see how that goes. Guys, check out this. It looks beautiful. I mean, it's shinier than the paint. I really like this buffing compound, just using it. I could probably use some different pads, but this is my first time using it, and it looks good. I'm very happy with this. And I didn't even use as much product as I would have with the 3M products. I mean, everything just looks beautiful. I mean, look at this orange pill here. I mean, this was pretty much the same orange pill. It was probably a little worse on here. And look at that. That is just smooth as glass. It looks beautiful. I am very happy with this product. And I'll put a list of everything I used for this and the buffers and I really do love it. It looks fantastic. Guys, hit subscribe, check out more of my videos, and thanks for watching.